This is QTV News coming to you from our studios on Caraba Avenue. I am Mamudu Gajaga and thanks for joining us. First, here are the main news headlines. Ahead of the local government elections in May and April, the Independent Electoral Commission organized training on Tuesday for election stakeholders including political parties, civil society organizations and security personnel. At least 20 staff of the legal department at the Ministry of Justice and other government agencies are undergoing 2 days training on the application of the principles of the African Union's Transitional Justice Policy. The Commissioner General of the Gambia Revenue Authority, Yankuba Dabo, on Wednesday called on the ECOWAS member states to exploit the possibility of broadening the tax base to reduce the tax burden on citizens. The Women in Science, Technology, Engineering and Mathematics, in collaboration with the Ministry of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology, held its Pioneer Outreach Program on Tuesday at USAT at the former GTTI in Kanifing. In international news, Equatorial Guinea appointed its first woman prime minister on Tuesday in a decree read on state television. Those were the main news headlines, and now the news in detail. Welcome and thank you for joining us. This is QTV News. Ahead of the local government elections in May and April, the Independent Electoral Commission organized training on Tuesday for election stakeholders, including political parties, civil society organizations, and security personnel. The training is geared towards ensuring the local government elections are smooth, free, fair, and peaceful. Morulamin Choi reports.
The Independent Electoral Commission has gathered election stakeholders for training as local government elections draw closer. The 15th of April and 20th of May are the dates scheduled for the councillorship and mayoral elections respectively. Key players in the elections process are attending a capacity building training by the Independent Electoral Commission. Police officers are among the training participants, given their significant role in providing security in their mandate of maintaining law and order during and after elections. Commissioner Omar Dawo of the Gambia Police Force speaks on behalf of the Inspector General of Police.
The Gambia Police Force, under the leadership of the Inspector General of Police, would take all steps necessary to ensure that this briefing and the whole election era is being protected without fear or favor. And these are his own words, that we have done it before and we will continue to do it. We will not relent in our efforts to ensure that there is security in elections and overall security of the nation.
In the local government elections, Gambians will vote to elect 120 ward councillors, 6 area council chairpersons, and 2 mayors. The chairman of the Independent Electoral Commission, Ali Momar Njai, underscores the crucial role of the security sector and political parties for the conduct of free, fair and transparent elections.
In the upcoming days and weeks, various engagements would be done with the media, CSOs, political parties, local governments, etc. These engagements will help to better equip key stakeholders with relevant skills, knowledge, and information that would enable them to effectively participate in 2020 local government elections.
Being key players in the election process, political parties will be fielding candidates for a political race in the local government election. Their understanding of the electoral process, laws and guidelines will contribute significantly towards promoting successful elections. Mahmoud Lamin Baji is a former councillor and the administrative secretary of the APRC, one of the political parties that will contest these elections.
My expectations are very high. The reason why it is very high is that it's a TOT, a training of trainers, whereby they're trying to build capacity of people that will go and train polling agents, counting agents, collation agents, and that will improve, the process of the elections. Knowing fully well that election is all about partnership, where you have political parties has a role to play, the police has a role to play, in order for us to have a peaceful and a credible election. So therefore, this training is timely. It's simply because we're going to local government elections, and people need to understand policies and programs, and people need to understand the laws that are governing the election process.
Local government elections are important for the development of our democracy and country's development. Through elected representatives at councils, development initiatives such as roads, car parks, street lights, markets are facilitated, and local resources managed for the progress of local communities. Mahmoud Lamin Choi, QTV News.
At least 20 staff of the legal department at the Ministry of Justice and other government agencies are undergoing 2 days training on the application of the principles of the African Union's transitional justice policy in subsequent phases of the Gambia's transitional justice process. Julden Jai reports.
The training is organized by the Institute for Human Rights and Development in Africa with the support of the MacArthur Foundation and the Ministry of Justice and the Attorney General's Chambers. The Justice Ministry has an important role in implementing the recommendations of the Gambia's Truth, Reconciliation and Reparation Commission. This should lead to the establishment of a framework to ensure accountability for crimes and human rights violations. The Ministry's roles includes investigating and making recommendations for prosecuting crimes and violations, advising the government on the best accountability mechanisms and processes, and developing a justice and accountability policy and strategy. Aliu Jallo, Registrar of Companies at the Ministry of Justice, represents the Minister of Justice.
Today we are weeks away from realizing our implementation plan of the recommendations of the TRRC. The implementation plan will serve a roadmap for key aspects of our transitional justice process going forward. This training could therefore not have come at a more opportune time. It seeks to provide a better understanding of the African transitional justice policy and will serve as a guide as we navigate our own implementation process.
Edmond Amakui Foley, interim head of the Institute for Human Rights and Development in Africa, says the training seeks to align national policies with continental policies.
Having settled the issues of the past, looking forward, we may need to establish things like, accountability systems within the police, within the military, oversight, strengthen the oversight of the National Assembly in relation to these matters. So yes, our resources have not been so much, but in the circumstances, I think we have done the best we could as a country.
Anna Moyo Kupata, Executive Director, Center for Study of Violence and Reconciliation, says the training will serve as a platform to reflect on the successes, the gaps, and the impact of the TRRC in the Gambia as a transitional justice method.
It really will be impactful because in the room we have some of the key line ministries that are critical for transitional justice, and perhaps some of those who were not really on the table previously for the TRRC process. But now as we advance going forward, we are looking at bringing in all the critical voices and implementers of transitional justice process from the government side so that we advance some of the principles of the African Union transitional justice process where there is wide consultation, there's local ownership, there's consensus building, and we also determine context-specific solutions to addressing some of the issues that came up during the authoritarian regime in the Gambia.
The African Union adopted a transitional justice policy in February of 2019 as a continental guideline for African Union member states to develop their context-specific comprehensive policies, strategies and programs towards democratic and socio-economic transformation and achieving sustainable peace, justice, reconciliation and social cohesion. For QTV News, I am Julden Jai.
The Commissioner General of the Gambia Revenue Authority, Yankuba Dabo, on Wednesday called on the ECOWAS member states to exploit the possibility of broadening the tax base to reduce the tax burden on citizens. He was speaking at the opening ceremony of the 9th edition of the annual conference of the West African Union of Tax Institutes. Ansumane Sonyasi tells us more.
Founded in May 2011, the West African Union of Taxation Institutes, WAUTI, was formed to develop and promote taxation within the sub-region. At the opening of the 9th edition of WAUTI International Conference currently underway in the Gambia, under the theme, Rethinking Taxation for Human Development and Economic Prosperity, Yankuba Dabo, the chairperson of the West Africa Tax Administration Forum and Commissioner General of the Gambia Revenue Authority, says given the significant increase in budgetary allocation within member states in recent years, largely caused by disruptions in the global supply chains and the Russia-Ukraine war, calls for a new approach to taxation. He challenges member states to exploit the possibility of broadening the tax base to reduce the tax burden on citizens.
It is also important to ensure that our tax system is simple, transparent, and easy to comply. A complex tax code can create barriers to economic participation and disproportionately impact small businesses and low-income earners. At this conference, we will have the opportunity from a variety of experts drawn from different fields of revenue administrations on how we should rethink our taxation system in order to better promote human development and improve the life of all citizens.
The Minister for Finance and Economic Affairs, Sidi Keita, and Salu J, President of WAUTI, underscored the importance of this annual conference that creates an opportunity for sharing of ideas that will provide sound policy guidance to positively impact revenue collection in the sub-region.
To combat such adverse effects, public policy should therefore focus on mobilizing tax revenue, rationalizing tax expenditures, public expenditures to reduce debt vulnerabilities and build resilience and growth. One area that first to enhance public policy in response to the rising public expenditure is the use of information technology.
Njëriñu conférence bi mooy ñu xalaataat lépp li nga xam ne dafay dem ci wàllu taxe.
This conference is important as it gives us the opportunity to have a general review of how tax institutions in the region operate, the challenges they face, and what we can do to improve the lives of our people. I must also say that for us at WAUTI, we are very happy to be in the Gambia because this country is a leader in terms of good taxation practices. Other speakers included the Commissioner General of Liberia's Revenue Authority, ECOWAS Resident Representative Miata Lily French, and Dr. Samuel Agbelui, Vice President of the Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria. WAUTI officials say there is a growing need to adopt new strategies to help deal with economic challenges in the region. Taxation plays a critical role in shaping the economy and well-being of citizens. Hence, their emphasis for a rethink to the approach in the distribution of tax revenue and the creation of a system that will promote human development and economic prosperity. Answane Sonyasi for KTV News.
From that report, we will now take a short commercial break, and when we return, we still have some more local and international stories. Do stay tuned.
Amna lu manqué de. Lu manqué? Armanti mayonnaise su amul duma lek. Maa ngi ñëw man maay jéegi Armanti. Ah. Noo ko gisee? Saf na neex na ndax moom ci Armanti mayonnaise ak sauce boo ko ciy def rek dafay neex. Nii la. Armanti mayonnaise. Ren la am 28 years. Wow. Sa cafka mosul ci tegoon tànkam fa la ko teg ba tey. Man maak Armanti dama ko miin. Yàlla dafa dogal Armanti dafa doon sama xarit.
Yéen jéegi réew mi nee naa leen ñaar fukki at ak juróom-ñett du fukki at ak juróom-ñett déedéet du ay fodde maa la ñu wax lii dugg leen ci bépp marché bépp supermarket bépp boutique ci biir réew mi am na 500 millilitres 1000 millilitres ak 5 kilos li ci gën a tee dàq mooy def leen indil 25 grammes mooy caatu mayonnaise bi am na margarine bota am na bota ice am corned beef bu yàpp ak bu ginaar am na sardine ak banana milk Armanti daal dafa complété lépp ngir noppal jéeg yi seen biir waay.
Armanti product the good quality food.
To make sure your company's products and services reach your potential customers, it is essential that you choose the right channel for your marketing purposes. QTV has the widest reach locally and beyond, and we can give your business the visibility it needs. Call QTV Marketing on +220 324 4444 or email us at marketing@qtv.gm and take your business to the world.
Welcome back and thank you very much for joining us. This is QTV News. The Women in Science, Technology, Engineering and Mathematics, in collaboration with the Ministry of Higher Education, hold its Pioneer Outreach Program on Tuesday at USET at the former GTTI in Kanifing. Lena E. Igwenyiba has more.
In most of the science, technology, engineering and mathematics fields, women are vastly outnumbered by men. Women in STEM, WeSTEM, aims to bridge the gender gap in STEM by using success stories for these young girls to excel in STEM. WeSTEM also aims to improve equity and provide an opportunity for resources and mentorship to girls and young women. Kodu Jengei, the founder and president of WeSTEM, speaks about the motivation behind starting the association.
We realize that very few girls go into these fields because of the stereotype. They are afraid, or some of them will start but they may never complete. So this is why WeSTEM came in, to help them through their career path, make sure that they go to the last stage of where they want to be. We are not here to compete with our male counterparts, no. We are here to complement our efforts. We know the girls can do it. They are just afraid. So we make sure that they get into the field, go through their career path and contribute to national development.
Fatou Jukadabo, director and co-founder of Make 3D Company Limited, a woman in STEM in the Gambia, advised girls to be persistent in achieving their goals.
Continue doing what they're doing, be brave about it, learn a lot, do a lot of research, and be ready to evolve as technology evolves, because the world is not stagnant and it keeps moving based on new innovations, new ideas, and for them to be able to compete in the world like their counterparts in other countries, they should be able to be at the same level as them. So continue learning, continue being curious, and do not let anyone stop you.
Meta Suso, a teacher at USET, emphasized the significance of science and reaffirmed her commitment to encourage girls.
Always in class, anytime I'm having class with my students, this is what I normally tell them. I encourage them. Don't say that I am a girl, I cannot do. No, 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 you can do it. If your fellow girls are doing it outside, why not you? So I always encourage, even electrical installation from level 1, I encourage them to start having contracts. I used to tell them, go and lobby contracts. We are here to guide you. That one, to give confidence to them, to guide them so that they can be able to do something on their own, not relying on people. Because if you want to involve in technical, you should be able to do things on your own, not to be working on the people all the time. While we are helping them, we are helping them so that they acquire skills so that they can work independently.
WeSTEM was registered in the Gambia in 2022 and has more than 200 members from diverse professions that play key roles in the development of the country. The association is set to introduce girl in STEM clubs at secondary schools throughout the country. Reporting for QTV News, I am Lena E. Gwenyiba.
At the just concluded Janjanbureh Kankuran Festival 2023, QTV's Loli M. Camera looks at how the youths are economically empowered during the festival.
Recently, the economic opportunities created by culture have taken on greater importance with unique selling points for tourists and businesses. Since its revival and celebration in 2018, the Janjanbureh Festival has created job opportunities for the youth in the hotel and creative arts industries to boost their already established businesses in town during the festive period. Over the years, the International Trade Center, through the EU-funded Youth Empowerment Project, which ended last year, put greater emphasis on strengthening the growth and development of the tourism and culture industries through creation and diversification of tourism products and services, skills development, etc., for communities to spur growth, economic development and sustainability. Speaking to QTV, the treasurer of the Janjanbureh Kankurang Festival Organizing Committee, Sana Sidibe, pointed out that the festival is not only important to the community, but creating jobs for youth in the creative arts.
If you look at the festival, we give a lot of businesses to creative industry. The youth who are involved in the creative industry, like this t-shirt, these are made by young people who are benefiting from the festival. And you go to the people who are driving the boats, most of them are youths. And the festival brings a lot of tourists that will embark on this voyage, like boat trips to give to see wildlife, and also even the shopkeepers, the women vendors, the tie and dye and the batik. I mean, many people benefit financially from this festival.
Mr. Sidibe further pledges more support from partners and natives of the town, saying it is an initiative that needs everyone's support.
During all those years, the festival committee was saving. Anytime we have a sponsor, when we have programs, any income that we gain from those programs, we have an account where we normally deposit our account, the money. So it's from that account that we are using to finance this year festival. But the festival is very hectic and it entails a huge amount of money. And our main obstacle for the festival is the finance. Because, finance go in a lot of areas. From the cultural troops, because each of these cultural troops, we normally call them and we have to pay them. Their transport and also their, performance fee. And also the catering. We cater for all the troops that are coming from the country, CRR, URR, NBR, and also the cultural troops that are coming from Combo, we also feed them. And all other, dignitaries and all other visitors that are coming especially for the festival.
Mamadou Toure, a committee member responsible for the affairs of the Kankurang during the festival, gave this advice to the young ones.
We want the young ones coming here to understand our culture and traditions, also to know that this is what we have inherited. So we are making sure the culture is revived and kept alive. This festival is of great importance to us, and we are putting all our efforts to ensure it grows bigger and richer every year.
With the coming of the festival, young people are taking full ownership by meaningfully engaging in life-changing jobs with the hope of reducing rural-urban migration. For QTV News, Lolly M. Kamara.
From that story, now to international news. Equatorial Guinea has appointed its first woman prime minister, Manuela Roca Botti. President Obiang made the announcement on Tuesday in a decree read on state television. Suleiman Dabo has more.
The appointment of the first woman prime minister came on the heels of the recently held controversial presidential elections, which saw President Teodoro Obiang Nguema win his sixth term in office. Many countries, including the U.S., expressed doubts and concerns over alleged voter fraud in the November elections. Manuela Roca Botti was education minister before her new appointment. One can only imagine that women and gender rights groups will welcome the appointment. Equatorial Guinea has had a controversial past. The current president, Teodoro Obiang Nguema, ousted his uncle in a coup in 1979, 11 years after the country gained independence from Spain in 1968. President Obiang's son is currently vice president, with his other sons occupying high positions in government. The country is also host to Yahya Jammeh, the Gambia's ex-president, who was forced to flee the Gambia after losing the 2016 presidential elections to President Adama Barrow. Women have long been advocating their appointment and election to high positions in government in Africa and around the world. While many countries have taken positive steps in that direction, others are still lagging behind. In the case of the Gambia, for example, the country has witnessed the appointment of 2 female vice presidents, but only 8.6% representation in the current National Assembly. Recently in Sierra Leone, President Julius Maada Bio signed into law an act of parliament that criminalizes the employment of less than 30% of women in both public and private institutions. Rwanda, on the other hand, is the leading country in Africa with above the United Nations recommended 20% of women in the workforce. Many countries around the world are now expected to demonstrate serious commitment to empowering and increasing women's participation in nation building, including give them equal pay with men for equal work. President Teodoro Obiang Nguema Mbagasogo has ruled Equatorial Guinea since 1979. The 80-year-old is the world's longest-serving head of state. Suleiman Dabo for QTV News.
Well, that's all we have time for in this edition of QTV News. Thank you very much for watching. Join us tomorrow for more news. Until then, do continue to enjoy the rest of our programs on QTV. Bye.